We don't have a mic, so I'm going to start if everyone can hear me all right. My name is Natalie LaFlash. I'm the secretary with Sackville Minor. Thank you all for coming tonight. There is coffee and Timbits over there if you'd like some. We have this timed loosely to run in about an hour's duration, so we'll see if we can stick to that. Just a couple quick housekeeping things. We're going to start with opening remarks from Rob. We'll jump into some of the executive updates that we've done in previous years. And then kind of the acclamations. We'll have a question and answer period and closing remarks and then an adjournment. We have the Constitution vote at the end to follow. And if there's questions, they need to come through to me by email. We have the comments disabled on the live stream. So it's being streamed on YouTube, will be available for replay. Questions can be emailed to secretary@flyershockey.ca or can be live on the spot here if you prefer. In-person and virtual questions will be addressed at the end of the meeting. Anyone registered to vote by 6:30 tonight will have their ballots counted. So we'll kind of do that immediately following. And you should have all received a ballot and signed in with Heather to get us started. Good. Rob, you're up.
All right. Thanks, Natalie, for the introduction. Appreciate it. So first of all, I'd like to thank everybody for joining us. For those of you who joined us in person this evening, and also everyone who's joined us online as well, to our 2025-2026 annual general meeting for Sackville Minor Hockey Association. Do you want me to go to the next slide? Okay. So the first thing I'd like to do is I just want to bring attention to and make a quick introduction of our board as well here at Sackville Minor Hockey. First, we have myself, president of Sackville Minor Hockey Association. Natalie LaFlash does an incredible job for us as our secretary. Many have known Natalie for years around our arenas here, and the amount of volunteer hours that Natalie gives is tremendous. Of course, we have Kim Gray, our VP of Operations. Soon have a name change on that position as well. Anybody that's had anything to do with Sackville Minor probably over the last 30 plus years would certainly know Kim. Thank you, Kim, again for everything you do. She does so much volunteering. She actually has an award named after her as well in our association. So I think that tells it all right there. Next on the list is Natalie McDonald. Natalie is our VP of Administration. She's responsible for kind of taking the lead on a lot of our policies and directives that we create within the association. Unfortunately, Natalie, well, actually, I shouldn't say unfortunately, because I'm really excited for Natalie. She's actually expecting twins, I think, literally any day now. So congratulations, Natalie, if you're watching online. We're grateful to have you part of our team. And again, congratulations to the new additions coming to you and your family. Next on our list is Michael Doucette, who's our treasurer. Michael joined our executive this year, taking over from Jen Tower. Again, Jen, I'm not sure if you're watching or not, but again, thank you for your years of service as well in the executive. We're grateful for your contributions. Michael is a chartered accountant as well, and again, we're very fortunate to have him. He's been a great addition to the team. Thank you, Michael, for all your contributions to all of our topics that we discuss in our executive meetings. Following Michael, we have Nick Croft. Nick should be here shortly. He's on his way back from Moncton. He's traveling home from Moncton. He was up there for the weekend for a tournament. I'm not sure if it was baseball or hockey, but he'll be joining us shortly. It was hockey. So Nick is he's our VP of development. So he looks after our development team and organizes and schedules the development instructors for the ice. Helps coordinate the practice plans for our on-ice development team as well. It's been a critical part of our on-ice development team here at Sackville Minor Hockey as well. And we're grateful again to have Nick also. Next is our VP of Competitive, Mr. Brad Coyne. Brad, similar to Kim, has been kind of a fixture within Sackville Minor Hockey going back 20 plus years, probably, Brad, at least.
Yes, I believe so.
A long time.
Almost as long as Kim.
Almost as long as Kim, right? So that's a long. Not to date anybody. Good thing.
I don't have an award named after me.
Good thing Kim's still in her mid to late 20s there. So yeah, right. So. And again, if you're remiss, Brad has made the decision to kind of pass the torch on. He's going to focus on some other things himself, and think everybody probably saw the announcement. Matt Brown has been with our executive for quite a number of years as well. Has put his name forward to be our VP of competitive for our upcoming season. Brad, thank you for all your contributions. It's a tremendous amount of hours. I really don't think you can really truly understand the amount of time and effort that goes into being, a volunteer is a lot of hours, but then to be someone that is on our executive, which is a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort, but also coaching as well, which is something that Brad's done both for the last number of years. He coaches our teams. He's an executive member. He was and still is for a little bit longer, Brad, our VP of competitive, and anyone that's kind of been around the inner workings of any minor hockey association, being the VP of competitive for a minor hockey association is one of the toughest roles you could ever step into. Sorry to say that, Matt. I can say with certainty that Brad's put thousands and thousands of hours into the association, and again, from the bottom of my heart, Brad, and I think I speak for our association and all of our board. Thank you for all your contributions, and you'll be dearly missed, but we'll see you on the ice. And make some friendly calls for Sackville minor. Next up, we have Dan McDonald, our VP of rec. Dan is another individual that's been with our association for a long time as well.
Not that old.
Well, you always, Dan's a guy that I can always count on. He's a guy that we have a lot of our minds generally in the same spot, and I think we both have our, like we all do, but I think we all have our hearts in the right spot for what's going to be best for the association and the children of our association. And Dan's maybe looking to kind of transition things over this upcoming season. I'm hoping to convince him somehow to stay around in some capacity, but again, thank you, Dan, for everything you do. Much respect, no question. Next, we have Matt Brown, who is currently our VP of U7. Matt's been, again, a fixture in our association, both on the coaching side and our executive for a number of years now as well. An incredible individual, tons of hockey knowledge as well. Cares about the kids. I see it when I see him coaching, when I watch his practices and how he interacts with the players on the ice. Again, we're very lucky to have you as part of the team as well, Matt. And again, big shoes to fill there, but you're capable, no question. Sean Wright, our VP. Sean joined our executive this past season. It was his first full year on our executive. Again, Sean's a guy that you typically come into the rink. You're probably going to see him here either in a coaching capacity or on the ice as an official. He's brought a lot of, a lot of intelligence and great ideas and concepts into our meetings, Sean, and I really appreciate the contributions, and I'm looking forward to the years as we move forward as well with your help as well. Thanks for everything. And then Craig Foley. Unfortunately, for family reasons, Craig's not able to join us in person this evening. Craig's been with us. I kind of feel like a broken record because it looks like a lot of us that are up here have been here for a long time. Craig's been around the Sackville minor. He grew up playing here in Sackville minor, and he's been coaching here and on their executive for probably, I have to say, he's probably been on the executive for 8 years at least, I would say probably. And he's been coaching here for much longer than that. A great individual. Again, we're fortunate to have Craig as part of our team. And hopefully he'll be able to join us for our next executive meeting as well, or board meeting. So moving on to our board of directors, we have Tara Amero, who's our director of finance. Tara's been our director of finance for, again, a long number of years. That's a pretty involved position as well. She looks after kind of all of the, works alongside with Michael as our VP of treasurer position, and obviously looks after the finances of the association, looks after all the team budgets and reconciling those and the bank accounts for all the teams. It's a tremendous amount of work that Tara takes on in that role, and again, we're grateful that she is part of our team, and she continues to come back every year, so we're really happy for that. Sometimes it's hard to get volunteers to fill some of these positions, and anytime you get a good one, you always hope that they're going to stay. So grateful for Tara. Thank you, Tara, for everything you do for us. Tara actually was the recipient of the Kim Gray Volunteer of the Year Award a couple of years ago as well, if anybody remembers that. And again, it's just recognition of the amount of hours that Tara puts in. Todd Tamander is our referee-in-chief. Todd's been a referee-in-chief for quite a number of years as well. He's also the referee-in-chief for Hockey Nova Scotia, provincially across the province. Talk about an individual with a ton of hockey knowledge. Todd's refereed at some of the highest levels, international hockey, QMGHL. He's a supervisor for officials for the QMGHL currently as well. We're extremely grateful to have Todd as part of our team here as well. We do have a vacant position currently, which is our director of policy position. So we will be putting a call out for expressions of interest for that position. If anybody, either online or in person, might be interested in joining our team and becoming part of our board, that is a position that we'll have a call going out for. Darren Harvey is our current director of ice scheduling. Darren, unfortunately, is going to have to step away from that position due to a conflict he's going to have. Darren has accepted the role of our regional director with Hockey Nova Scotia. And so I'll make another introduction here momentarily, and then I'll tie back to that. So Darren, congratulations, Darren, again. I mentioned to you before on your new role. We're still going to be working together, which I'm really excited about. Again, another great individual in our association. So we'll be looking to fill that role of ice scheduler. That would be kind of handled through Kim, if she wants to take that on, or if she wants to open that position up. Lisa Gillis, again, is not able to join us this evening here in person, but hopefully Lisa's watching at home. She's our director for Central Minor Hockey and Metro Minor Hockey. Heather Duassette, our registrar. She looks after getting all of our players in our association registered every year. Come through mid-July, or towards the end of July, when we open up registration, right up to the start of the season. Even after the season starts, Heather's inundated with trying to get players registered. So luckily she has a forgiving boss that she reports to at her employer that gives her some flexibility when it comes to her work schedule. So that's, again, Heather, we really appreciate you. And Heather is incredible. She started with me when my oldest boy started in really in U5 and learned to play in IP. And I could always count on Heather. Every morning I'd show up at the rink carrying thousands. I don't know if anybody remembers when I had IP, I used to have like 100 pieces of sticks and cones and tires and balls, all kinds of things for the kids to utilize on the ice. And I'd be coming through and just religiously, Heather would be standing there with a large coffee and one milk for me. So thanks for always having my back, Heather. I appreciate you very much. Anybody that knows me knows how much I love my coffee. Next up, we have Darren Harvey, multi-role guy. Actually, he stepped in to take on our director of tournaments position this year. So that's going to be another position that's going to be open if anybody's interested in getting involved in our tournaments that we have here at Sackville Minor. We've really kind of turned the page. A number of years ago, we tried to run multiple different tournaments throughout the season, and then we made a decision that we really wanted to focus on a memorial tournament that pays homage and tribute to our fallen Sackville Flyers we have here within our association, and we wanted to really focus on that tournament and look to grow and expand that one over time. Any of the other associations and teams that have come from across Nova Scotia and across the Atlantic provinces to participate in a memorial tournament every year, it has rave reviews. And if any of you have been up here in the Mez, Jana and her team that run the hospitality here upstairs in the Mez, they do an incredible job. And it really is heartwarming to see the community kind of come together and hear the feedback from the other associations and the teams that come here to participate in our tournament. So we want to continue that and continue to kind of move that tournament forward and make it the best possible tournament that we can. So that position will be coming open as well. So there'll be a call going in for that. Next we have Ryan Sabian, who is our Director of Safety. Ryan's going to be kind of expanding his role and helping Craig Foley a little bit as well with the certifications for our coaches to ensure that that's looked after and that we have that, all of our coaches have their certifications in place by the December 1st deadline. Ryan's been on our board for, I believe, it's going to be at least 4 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that. So again, thank you, Ryan, for all your contributions to our association. Not only is he on our board, but he's been coaching in our association for quite a number of years as well. So thank you for everything you do, Ryan. Next is Angela Pennell, who's our Director of Communications. So all of our email communications that goes out from Sackville Minor Hockey, all of our updates. I saw Angela somewhere earlier.
She had to go.
She had to go, did she? Okay. All right.
She
I was
had
like, am I
her
losing
kids
my mind? Is she not
She had her kids in tow.
Okay, Roger that, I
Yeah.
understand, yeah. So Angela's, she's been an integral part of our team, kind of filling in, taking on that role, and she looks after all of our social media posts as well. So she does a tremendous job on that, keeping our association and our memberships updated on all the interactions within the association. Again, thank you, Angela, for everything you do, and I'm hopeful that Angela will be with us for, be another kin for us and be here for a long time, helping out and contributing to the association. And then we have Helen Scanlon, who is kind of a jack of all trades for us. When it comes to technology, I'm probably the worst person on the board. And so anytime I kind of need a little bit of help or assistance with anything at all, when it comes to the tech side, Helen's always there. Helen, kind of oversees our webpage as well. She's an integral part of managing our tryout platform as well. The website and app that we use for our tryouts, Helen is a huge part of that, kind of behind the scenes, making sure that everything's working properly and that everybody has everything they need when it comes to our tryout process. So thank you for everything you do, Helen. Again, I hope again you continue to be here for us and appreciate you so much. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to the next slide. So just a couple of bullet points, I'll call them more or less. To get kind of, we had created a working relationship, something I've been actually working really hard on. Alan Smith, who has, as of June the 1st, has stepped down from being the president of LDRA. So Chris Fraser is the new president for LDRA. So I've known Chris for a long time. He and I used to play hockey together for a bit as well, long before Sackville Flyers. So got a deep relationship with Chris as well. So looking forward to kind of continue on that relationship. But Alan had mentioned to me that he never had really had anybody from Sackville Minor kind of reach out and look to create a relationship with him, which I was a little bit surprised at. But when I kind of got into the role as president, sorry. Can somebody let Zach know that I'm not available? It's the second colleague. So I felt it was really important, right? I think anytime, whether it's a nonprofit association like Sackville Minor Hockey or in business, in my business life as well, I work with accountants across the Atlantic provinces and some in Ontario, and it's really important to have relationships with your industry partners. I'll call them. And LDRA is probably our most significant industry partner. So for me personally, it's really important to create a relationship with Alan and the individuals here that kind of manage and operate the facility, because they're a big part of everything we do every day. And we've had a wonderful relationship. I've had a strong personal relationship that we've created together. Again, Alan, I'm not sure if you're watching, but thank you for everything you've done for me and for Sackville Minor Hockey over the last number of years. And Chris, really looking forward to working with you as well. And I know that great things are ahead for both of us. So we want to continue that. We want to make sure that we're kind of continuing on with that relationship here with the facility. When we've needed things, whether it's for our minor hockey room or we need to use the facility here, or if it's collaborating to get some sponsorships, signage in the facility. Our Sackville Flyers logo at center ice, that's really come in handy for us as an association to have that relationship and be able to leverage that to help make it a great environment for our young children, our athletes to grow and learn the sport here as well. Goalie development, we're still kind of working on that. It's something that, was an important thing, that I felt was kind of a little bit of a void in the association a couple of years back. So we really kind of focused on that. We brought that in as a separate piece of our development program as well. And we've been getting really good reviews and feedback from the parents, and we're continuing to tweak that and work on that. We've been fortunate to have some really good goalie instructors join our development team for the development for our goaltenders, which is really important. So we'll continue to focus on that as we move ahead over the next number of years as well, to keep that, kind of fine tune that a little bit. We are creating a new position, which you would have noticed, which is part of the update to the bylaws that we'll be voting on this evening as well, which is a director of goaltending position. The individual that put their name forward for that position is Chris Wall. Chris is a former goaltender with the Halifax Mooseheads and has been part of our goaltending development team here in Sackville Minor for a number of years as well, and he's agreed to take on that role as director of goaltending for us as well, to help kind of fine-tune that work with our teams and our coaches within our association when it comes to the goaltending position, and hopefully help our coaches in our association with maybe some goalie-specific things that they can do when they have their teams on the ice as well. So looking forward to having Chris join our board of directors. Membership surveys, it's really big for us, and have to thank Natalie again for being a big part of that. You'll probably see an increase of surveys going out to the membership, certainly as we move into leading up to next season, but also thereafter as well as we're in the next season. We're here, we're all volunteers. We don't get paid for any of these positions. We're here to represent you, the members of the association. And so we're all in it together. So your feedback and your suggestions and your input is extremely important. Without that, we can't make the changes that maybe need to be made in the association. So look forward a continuation and probably an uptick in the amount of surveys that will be sent out. And we hope that you're able to complete those for us, because it just gives us the information, the data that we need to make the necessary improvements when we can. One of the strongest performing associations within CMHL and Metro Minor Hockey. Does anybody know what the number 842 might mean? So 842 is the number of anybody except for Heather. 842 is the number of, I just threw that in there just because I thought it was interesting. 842 is the number of registered players that we had in our association this past season. So that's everything from U5 up to our U23 program. U23, we thank Dan for that. He was the one that brought that in for our association. And then 809 was our total registrations for the previous year, in 2024, 2025. So you can see we're having significant growth in our registration numbers here in Sackville. I think that's reflective of the growing community we have here. It's really nice to see. I think that the more flyers we can help develop, the better, from my perspective. And I don't want to talk for my colleagues that are here that are going to speak as well. But I think we had an incredible season. If you look at the totality of our program from top to bottom, I would say probably arguably 70% of all of our teams finished in the top 5. And some, obviously finished first, second, third, but generally in the top half of all divisions, which is incredible. Even at 842, that would kind of put us in around like a mid-sized association. So that was really nice to see the amount of success that our teams had on the ice. And I'll speak to, just for me personally, in a moment on that a little bit as well. Sorry, Nelly, I'm already probably like half an hour over, but this is just what I do. So I think everybody's kind of used to it. But I'll get through this as quick as I can here, don't worry. Fostering a deeper relationship in collaboration with Hockey Nova Scotia. Garth has been, again, very much like Alan here at LDRA. Garth has been a huge support for myself, and anytime I have any questions or need some support or guidance with Hockey Nova Scotia, Garth's always been there for me. So I'm going to just kind of tie back a little bit. As I mentioned, Darren Harvey has taken on the regional director role for our association, Bedford and East Hants, which is the position that Garth had just held. Garth has now moved on to elite hockey within Hockey Nova Scotia. Congratulations on your new role, Garth. Thank you. still see me around though, and I may call you so once in a while, so.
For sure.
So congratulations on that. And we'll continue that. It's, you know, I think, you know, at times, maybe as an association, necessarily, we didn't necessarily maybe have maybe the deepest or closest maybe connection to Hockey Nova Scotia. And that kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier about having close relationships with your industry partners. And I go back to that because that's a terminology that I use in my work life. You know, so, you know, the employer that I work with, that I represent, we have all kinds of different industry partners that we deal with that are integral parts of completing a transaction for a homeowner. And it's no different in my role here. We have industry partners that we have that are integral to the operations of our association, the guidance, the support, the opportunities that we can provide to our children and our players and our families and our coaches. And that's no different than the relationship that we have with Hockey Nova Scotia, and that's extremely important to me that we make sure that we continue to deepen that relationship and make sure that we're supportive of Hockey Nova Scotia, and obviously they're going to be fully supportive of us as well. So thank you again, Garth, for everything you've done for us. Our memorial tournament, again, I spoke of that a little bit earlier. It's a huge success, and that is something we're going to focus on. There are a few things in the works. I know that there's plans for a proper memorial cabinet downstairs on the main level to memorialize our fallen flyers as well. We are getting, the banners are being redone, so they're all identical, so that they're uniform. So there's a nice presentation there as well, so that hopefully will be ready this coming season. So look forward to that. Our development program continues to evolve and provide the best opportunities we can for our players. I mentioned this in our last executive meeting we had last week. We are a hockey association. So as a hockey association, we do have a mandate to provide the best possible development opportunities that we can to our families and our players. I'm a strong advocate of our development program that we have. The individuals that are part of our development program, you know, many of them have experience coaching within the Hockey Nova Scotia High Performance Program at the 14, 15 levels. We have Brad Cusner, who's with the Halifax Mooseheads as part of our development team as well. He recently just received a promotion as well. He's now part of their operations team. But again, you know, these are individuals that have years of playing experience at a very high level. And then a lot of them have their high performance HP1 certification through Hockey Nova Scotia certifications as well. And I think, you know, we, as a parent myself, and I said this to our group in our meeting here the other night, as a parent, for me, I want my children to receive the best possible coaching that they can. And so I don't want to have my children like receive like mediocre or okay coaching. Me personally, I'd love for my children to receive the best possible coaching that they can and the best possible development. As a coach myself, I'm always learning. I'm still taking courses myself. I'm currently completing my HP1 certifications for Hockey Canada as well. And that's important to me. I'm not young anymore. I'm not 19 like Kim. I'm 54. But I still, as a coach, like you always learn. And the best coaches are always like learning from other coaches. And I think it's really important. That's something we're going to focus on as well as an association. And you'll see that this coming year where we're going to be providing a lot of training for our coaches as well. And all of our coaches are going to be able to provide pieces that they have that are going to help us as well. So I'm really looking forward to that piece. And then coaches session, we just talked about that. I've got something kind of big planned. Nobody knows about it. It's a big secret that I'm keeping to myself. But I do have something planned for, it'll be in September when the kids get back to school, so people won't be away on vacation. And it's going to include our coaches, our players, and hopefully I'll have room for parents that might be interested. We're going to be covering off a whole slew of topics from mental health, topics for our players, coaching seminars for our coaches. I have a really high-end guest speaker motivational guest speaker that I have lined up as well. I'm really looking forward to it. That's all I can say right now. These guys know nothing about it at all. But it's something that it'll be a nice surprise. Garth, hopefully you can join us as well for that also. So stay tuned for that. We'll have some information on that shortly. And then last but not least, I'm big on, certainly big on community. And I want to try to do things that I can. I'll tell a little story. If you want to go to the next slide, though. So yesterday, we met here at the parking lot outside here at 9 a.m. Kind of got ourselves collected there a little bit, and then at 9:30 we started our community cleanup for our association. So yesterday kind of represented, hopefully, we can keep this going, our first annual community cleanup. So we went from 9:30 in the morning to 11:30. We collected 17 bags of garbage. So we did clean up around the arena here. We did down First Lake. This is First Lake. First Lake Drive. We went to Sackville High. We went up to the stadium. And then we went out on Metropolitan Avenue as well. Those are kind of the areas that we cleaned up within those 2 hours. We collected 17 bags of clear bag garbage, 2 bags of recyclables, and some hazardous waste as well. So fortunately, I don't know if Cindy Frazier is watching or not, but Cindy's son Cohen is a Sackville Flyer as well, and I had no idea. It turned out that when I was putting this together, she actually works for HRM in their waste department, and she goes to the schools and talks to kids about waste and how to sort things properly, and she does cleanups around the schools as well, and so it was fantastic. So she actually brought all the supplies from work, so we had the little picker-upper things, and she brought all the bags, all the gloves, and really big part of that as well was the Sackville Blazers Junior B team. They want to get more involved with their association as well and giving back to our association. A lot of the players that were Sackville Flyers, ultimately a lot of them ended up playing for the Blazers. So it was really nice. So we had, I think, roughly about 10 of the Sackville Blazers Junior B players joined us as well for our cleanup. And I thought it was, how nice was that to have, these young gentlemen, they were so kind to kind of give their time back. It wasn't mandatory. The coaches of the Blazers said, Sackville Miners doing this. We'd like you to participate if you're able to. It was so nice to see them come. But they treated our younger Flyers that were there with us as well. It's so nice. They were so kind to them. And I thought, wow, what a great example. These young adults are setting such a great example for our younger Flyers. And the other thing I want to mention about this, and I'm hopeful next year that I think it was a combination of maybe a few things. So we actually put this out on our social media in April. And I don't know if a lot of people caught it or not, but it was on our social medias and our Facebook page in April. And then there was a reminder that went out like a week and a half ago, roughly maybe. But I'm hopeful that we'll have more actual Flyers join our community cleanup next year as well. And I'm so glad that I did it. Like when I was at home, I was like, I was thinking to myself like, why do I come up with these things? And then I get stuck. Then I'd have no choice. I was like Saturday morning, I don't know. I think I wasn't out late Friday night, but I was doing something Friday night. It was kind of tired Saturday morning. I gotta go. So I get up at 6:30, and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta start decorating the trailer and getting. So I'm out in my yard there putting the stuff together. I'm like, oh my god, why do I do this to myself? Because I never get anybody walks in my house it's a complete disaster because I never get a chance to clean it up because I'm always doing something else. But anyway, but in hindsight, it's one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life. I couldn't believe it. And for me, when I talked about it earlier about the success that the Sackville Flyers have had on the ice this year, I love seeing it. Right, it tells us that our players are developing their skills on the ice. We have great coaches in our association. But for me personally, the wins are secondary to the life lessons that our children learn. And for me personally, I'm more heavily weighted on developing a human than a hockey player. I believe in I believe strongly in providing our hockey players with the best hockey development that we can, but I believe even more strongly in developing the human. And, you know, hopefully like seeing the young athletes that are in association contributing back to our community later on in life. And, you know, these fine gentlemen here wearing the Sackville Blazers jerseys were once in our U5 and our U7 program. And here they are, you know, giving back to our community. And as I was just over here, I think everybody knows Tim Hortons, right? So I'm on the grass here, like walking down. I got my truck pulled over on the side of the road, with my forward flashers on. I'm picking garbage off the grass there, and I see like, and there's all kinds of, you know, trash, like Tim Hortons cups and chocolate bar wrappers and chip bags. Kind of like there's a little path that kind of comes up, where there's a bus stop just up here. Anyway, so I'm in there and I'm like, you know, grabbing stuff and throwing it in the bag, and then all of a sudden this gentleman comes down with his dog, and he stops and he said, I had to come down and say thank you. I couldn't believe it. Like, so it's just, and then not only myself, but Cindy was telling me a story as well, because she was on the other side of the road. There was a lady walking her dog who stopped her as well and said, "My God, like, I can't thank you so much. Like, I walk my dog on this trail. Like, there's like a little trail on the lake here. I think everybody's probably familiar with that. If for those of you who aren't, there's a trail that kind of follows along here. And the amount of people that came out and stopped us when we were cleaning up the garbage around the community here, it was incredible. It was like so heart touching. I couldn't believe it. And I'm so glad I got my butt up out of bed at 6:30, went outside, started putting Sackville Flyer signs on my trailer, getting it all set up, running around, picking stuff up, and then coming over here. And I'm grateful that I did it. It was incredible for that. And I'm hopeful that next year, I'd love to see so many of our Sackville Flyers join in on that, because it's an incredible life lesson for our young children. And my son was one of the young Flyers that joined us there as well, and he was reluctant. Anybody that knows Josh knows he doesn't like to get out of bed. But I made him come with me, and he had such a great time himself as well. And Cohen found $5 when he was picking up garbage, so it was even better for Cohen. So it was a win-win. So anyway, I'm like I said, I'm probably a half an hour over my time. I do want to recognize Nick Rothfeld. Nick just made it back. Did you get a speeding ticket or
No.
No speeding ticket? All right, great. Okay. So Nick, as I mentioned earlier when I was just introduced Nick there as I going through, is our VP of development, huge part of our development program here in Sackville. So I can thank you in person. Thank you for everything you do, and we're grateful to have you, Nick. And then just you know, some things kind of looking forward, continue with some adjustments to our trial process. The trial process is never perfect. You know, I've talked about this before. You know, the reality is there's 17 spots on every team. And that's the unfortunate part of hockey. There's 17 positions. And, you know, the players that don't make a particular team, you could probably take players on the next team down and interchange them every year, and they would fit right in. So it's not perfect. It's a opinion of a group of humans, individuals that are trying to do the best assessments that they can in a relatively short window of time. So it's not perfect. It's never going to be perfect, but we are committed to continually try to fine tune it and try to make it the best possible experience that we can for our players and our families. So that will continue and always will be a priority for us as we continue to move through that. You know, as an executive, I mean, we never stop. We, you know, the hockey season ends, but being on the board and in particular the executive, it's a year-round undertaking. And you know, now that once we get through our AGM, then we'll start turning the page on that. And Matt will be heavily involved in kind of like spearheading that as we move forward as well for next season. But that's why it's at the top of the list. Continue to reintroduction of the Flyer of the Week again. Again, that just goes back to, I really want to make sure we do this, and I want to make sure we try to do this every week as an association. I'm big on developing the human side, right? More so than developing the hockey player. I'm hopeful that, when you look at some of the greatest hockey players, they tend to be a lot of the greatest people as well. And I think the two go hand in hand. So I'm really big on recognition. I love recognizing our young players and players in our association for their contributions, whether it's an act of kindness to a teammate, or maybe going above and beyond, or helping their coaches after practice, maybe pick some things up. Or it could be maybe, one of our members. Maybe somebody does something very generous for another family, or helps another family out with something. So when you do see those calls go from Angela, please take it to them, maybe give it some thought, and maybe if there's somebody that maybe caught your eye in something they did, put their name forward, because we'd love to recognize them as an association. And we have created a partnership with Freeman's as well here in Sackville, and they'll also be provided with a pizza from Freeman's, and then they'll also go into a monthly draw for a team pizza party at Freeman's as well. So again, it's all the little things sometimes. I always talk about when I'm coaching my players myself, I always say, what's the difference between a good hockey player and a great hockey player? Most of them that have been around me long enough knows that the answer to that is in the details. And I think it's the little details that we can do as an association make the difference. Working on continued expanded programming for power skating and defensive specific programs. This is something that we continue to work with Nick on as well. I'm not happy with where we are with that totally. I'd like to see that kind of still move forward a bit. Something that I think we're desperately in need of. Like I kind of realized with our goaltending program that was important. We kind of put some development in there for the goalies. I feel that our defense needs some specific training as well. When I look at our defense, sometimes compared to some other associations, some of the other associations are much more advanced with the defense that they have on their teams and how they play and their understanding of where to be positionally on the ice, depending on where the puck is on the ice. So I'd like to focus on, even if it's, again, maybe if we just run them maybe once a month, where we do some defense-specific programming and power skating program. And I always say to the kids, what's the number one skill that you have to have in order to be a hockey player? Of course, the answer is to be able to skate. I know kids don't like doing power skating, but it's probably the best thing they could do for themselves if they want to be a successful hockey player. So that'll be a focus as well as we move forward. Continue to review our policies and procedures collectively as a group to ensure the correct decisions are being made. And she was a big part of that, working with Kim as well on the changes to our bylaws that we'll be voting on this evening as well. And then working on a large player coach. So this is something I spoke on earlier. Working on a large player coach session as well. I'm really excited about it. It's probably going to be, I think everybody's going to be pretty impressed once you attend that. So I'm looking forward to that. So it'll be a nice surprise for everybody. And then other initiatives will be discussed by our VPs on their own personal updates as well. So is there any time left for anybody else?
No, we're good.
We're done. All right, so thanks very much for your time. Thank you again for joining our AGM this evening, both in person and online as well. And on that note, I will take a seat and be quiet for a little while.
Rob, just 1 second before you kind of leave your podium. I'm not sure if everyone's aware of Rob. Well, no, everyone in Sackville is very aware of Rob's dedication and time. He works 8 days a week and 30 hours a day, I think. Hockey Nova Scotia acknowledges someone in their zone, each regional director acknowledges someone. So my choice, of course, this year was very easy. And I select Rob, which first I had to check to see if anyone ever acknowledged him before, and which it didn't happen, in which I was quite shocked. The man, I check his vehicle when I see it around. I know there's a trailer behind it because he doesn't go home, right? He doesn't go home, and then you have a conversation with him, and he pretty well got his nose or his hand stuck in pretty well anything he could stick his nose in to volunteer. So I just want the people to realize that you were my candidate for my award. You definitely 100% deserved it, and SAC was very fortunate to have you as president.
Thank you guys.
I'll try to keep it shorter than that. We'll see how I do. Yeah, so this year, I was very proud to actually. You didn't get my updated slide, that's on me. So we're not even gonna look at this here right now. So this year was actually our third annual Welcome to Hockey event. I've always been a true believer in you only get to make a good first impression one time. And that's what this event is all about. I remember going back to my first time bringing kids into hockey. As somebody who grew up playing the game for 25, 30 years, and then coming into my first practice with my daughter, thinking to myself, I got this all figured out, we're going to be good. And then like 20 minutes in, I was like, wow, this is so much different than I expected. We started running this 3 years ago. We continuously, year over year, get about 175 to 200 people that show up to this event. If we can just help one person learn how to put on the right hockey gear, or how to size up the hockey gear, or how to tape a hockey stick, or the first time a kid gets to climb onto a Zamboni and see what it's like in the arena, and just making sure that is a overwhelmingly positive experience for them. That's what we aim to do. So very proud to have done that again this year. I look forward to being a part of it moving forward, but not running it next time. So this year in U5, we actually had 48 players in our U5 program. This is very different than 5-6 years ago when our Learn to Play program was for U5 and U7 kids combined. It's now a true U5 program, and we over doubled our registration numbers from a year prior. So we went from 22 to 48 players. Absolutely thrilled to see the growth in that program, and you can see the impact that it has on the association as well when our association is growing. Not only with that, but within the U7 program, we had over 120 players this year, as well as we look forward to how those kids develop throughout their minor hockey, throughout the association. We had 45 coaches involved in the program this year, which is absolutely fantastic. That sets the stage for success, or the foundation for success as the kids move into U9, U11, and the different levels that they're going to play, that make sure that we have people prepared to take on those coaching roles and those assistant roles, those manager roles as they move on. Something very proud of from this past year, we actually had 2 co-female coaches as head coaches, as what I believe is probably the first time we've had that at that level. So absolutely thrilled to say that we were able to support that as well. Played in over 8 jamborees this year. Strong focus on development, fundamentals, skills as they prepare for U9. So that was it. That's all I have to say. It's been a fantastic 3-4 years in the role. I will say that without the support of Taylor Kuski, I would have been completely lost. Thank you for everything that you did to make sure that the program is a success. As my administrator, she was the best of us. So community's great. We're in great hands as we move forward, and my community will be great. Congratulations. Thanks, guys.
Definitely going to be shorter than that with Rob here. Not a whole lot update-wise from a U9 perspective. This past year, 144 players across 8 teams. Several of these teams participated in our Mini Moose events at the Scotiabank Center. They were in tournaments, different tournaments across the province. We were able to onboard a bunch of new coaches, managers, and team staff. Looking forward to the next couple of years. Again, this was my first year on the board, kind of getting my feet wet and figuring out what's what and who's who. The next couple of years should be interesting. U9, I think, has a couple changes coming from minor council, full ice and things like that. So looking forward to implementing whatever they send our way, and continuing to help grow some more Sackville Flyers. That's all for me.
Great. So this past year was my first year as the VP of development. We really enjoyed it. Tried to expand some different plans, focusing on positional play, game situation tactics that you don't only have to use in development plans, coaches can use it in their own team practices. We added some, Rob spoke to, I was listening in the car on the way down. High performance trained, Kate Spooner joined us. She was a goalie, played Division I in the States. She helps out with the goalie side of things. And Matt English played with me at Dalhousie University, coached one of the Nova Scotia high performance teams, I think it was U15 this past year. So he mostly worked with their U11s and U15s on and off. Like Rob touched on earlier, continued goalie specific development with their goalie nights. Maintains sort of a hybrid recreation model with them and the rec groups, 10 weeks team led, 10 weeks led by the development team. Mostly positive feedback from coaches and parents on that. Continue building progressive age appropriate position and game situational skill plans with coaches' feedback and consultation with Andrew Wigington and Chris Donnelly. I'm actually meeting with Chris here in the next few weeks to sort of start planning for next year. Adapted plans throughout the season to meet team and player needs when requested by coaching staff. I think it's essential from time to time. We're not always doing them. Sometimes we're doing drills that are very similar over and over again, but it's always good to mix in some different and get some feedback from the coaches as well to see what their teams and players need to work on. And Rob spoke to it earlier. We offered additional optional sign up, defense specific skills and power skating sessions. Rob said we're gonna try and ramp that up a little bit more again next year, but that's all for me. Looking forward to clearing my head over the summer and get ready for next year.
Hi, everybody. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dan McDonald. I'm the current VP of Recreation for Sackville Minor. I just want to start off with telling you a little story from earlier today. I was actually in the rink from 1:30 till about 3:30, and I was here watching cadets. And this was their big day where they did the parade. So what I witnessed was truly amazing because there was a lot of, smaller participants and then there were some bigger kids and stuff. But what amazed me the most was how in unison they were with each other and how well the whole thing went off. So what was very evident was that they put in probably literally thousands of hours of practicing these little drills that they were doing, which turned into big presentations. And I couldn't believe the amount of movements and steps. And then they have a band, a marching band, and it was just truly impressive. And while I was watching that, I couldn't help but to think about our AGM tonight and all of the work that everybody that is at this table and all of our board members, our coaches, our parents, and all of our players also put in here at minor hockey. It just made me really appreciate even more the effort that you guys put in. So thank you to all of you, and especially you, Rob, for your leadership. You've been a truly great leader for us, and we're very lucky to have you, as Garrett said. So thank you for all of that. And you and I, being in our mid to late 20s, we've come to understand now that there will be a time where we do move along and we have to pass the torch to other people who will then continue that tradition of putting in the hard work for all of our members here in Sackville Minor Hockey. So with that, I wanted to take a couple of minutes to introduce you guys here to some people that were extremely important in making our rec division run this year, and that is our division coordinators. So if Morgan, Allison, and Mary Liz, if you guys would like to come up for a minute, I just want to recognize them. I would like them to have the opportunity to introduce themselves to all of you and just have a couple of words before I finish off what I have to say.
They're all
We're all hiding. Whoever wants to go first.
Hello, everyone. As Dan mentioned, I
looked after U13 and with Mary's help, U18 this past season. I would like to take a moment to thank all of our rec coaches who stepped up this season. There would be no hockey for our rec kids without your hard work, your time, and your dedication. My son Hunter joined Sackville Minor in 2019 as a U7. He loves playing rec hockey and has made many close friends over the years. And what I love most about rec hockey is that it's welcoming to all players, no matter their skill level, which really helps them feel valued and included, all while having fun playing the game that they love. I am looking forward to working with Sackville Minor Hockey and Dan and these lovely ladies to coordinate another fun season for our awesome rec kids and families.
I'm Maureen Spicer. I have been the divisional coordinator for competitive and for rec for the last 4 years. This year was a very quiet but wonderfully quiet year in U11. So I just want to say thank you to the coaches and the managers and all the rest of the team staff for making this nice and quiet, seamless year in U11. So thank you.
I'm Mary. I was the U15 division coordinator and helped Allison with U18. The U15 division had an excellent season filled with growth, teamwork, and great sportsmanship. It was wonderful to see the players develop their skills, build friendships, and create lasting memories both on and off the ice. Rec hockey is the heart of our sport. It gives every child a place to belong, build confidence, make friends, and develop a love of the game that lasts a lifetime. A huge thank you to our players, coaches, families, volunteers, and everyone else who pitched in making it such a great year. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Also, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Heather as well. Heather, you're like so huge at the start of the year because we've got late registrants coming in and you always make it work. And especially at the U23 division, they're not thinking about hockey in August, but they all want to play hockey. And I think it's a testament to the work that we're all doing here. You know, as these players have gone through, they're interested in remaining with Sackville Minor Hockey to the point where they're coming back and they're playing U23. And we had 2 teams last year. And to be honest with you, we could easily ice 3 teams next year. Ice time will be the challenge, of course, because it's in limited supply, as we all know. So anyway, I just want to touch on a couple of things here. When I took over the role back in 2023-24, there was just a couple of key areas that I thought we either could, refine a little bit or make some improvements to. One of those was to provide equal development opportunities for all players. There was some question whether we were going to start moving away from a development model at the rec level, but I really feel like we'd be doing our players a disservice if we did that. And in my first term, Johnny Hoobley did a fantastic job, so thank you, Johnny, wherever you are out there. And since Nick has come in and taken over the role, he's done a phenomenal job as well, and I've got nothing but compliments from the coaches and the teams about the job that you and your team have done, Nick. So thank you very much. Look forward to keeping moving forward next year with the development. One of the things was we wanted to eliminate the misconception that players are doomed if they play rec. We hear this all the time, and we understand that at the start of the year everybody wants to make a competitive team. But as Rob said earlier, there's only 17 spots, and that's maybe not a reality. And sometimes people get disappointed when they find out they're in rec. But once the season gets going and the teams are made and you get there with your teammates, players quickly realize that hockey is still hockey. And rec hockey is still exciting hockey and it's still competitive hockey. I go to some of the tournament games, like the championship games and stuff, and the day of champions, well, really the week of champions. And the thing that stands out to me the most is when I'm there, I really notice the parents, that you've got grandparents and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles in the stands, and players are doing what they do on the ice. But I always look down the bleachers and I see people with their faces painted and wearing Sackville Flyers jerseys, and they're just having a great time. So rec hockey is still exciting hockey. There's still something to play for, and our players, they're good players, okay? So they're not doomed if they go there. And another point that I just like to point out here, thanks to our development, the model, the way we do things around here, many players in rec have made the jump to competitive. So much so that discussions were had to make extra competitive teams, to give these players an opportunity to play competitive hockey, which is a little more commitment, but that's what they want. And so we provided. We didn't make those teams just to say that they could play hockey. The discussions were always had, and Brett did a fantastic job with making sure that we had the talent to make extra teams first and foremost, okay? So whether that was 2A teams or 2B teams, those discussions were had and we did it. And overall, I would say it worked out really well. There's a couple little hiccups along the way with that, but I think it's a testament to the fact that our development is really strong and we're providing opportunities. So you're not doomed when you go to rec. And of course, the last thing was that we just want to continue providing the great experiences and an atmosphere for our players so that everybody feels welcome at the rink. And we're so excited when we see new hockey players showing up and registering for hockey because we all love the sport and it's what makes us who we are. We're hockey people and we're a big hockey family. None of that stuff happens if you don't have sort of something to guide you. And as a coach, I learned a long time ago from Chris Donnelly, this little wheel of success, he called it. And it starts with having fun. And I think all of our coaches and staff do a great job of making sure that our teams are having fun all year. When you're having fun, you do tend to develop more, okay? And Nick has made development fun, and a lot of the players really enjoyed it this year. So they do develop more when they're having fun, and then of course that leads to success. That's the wheel of success. So that's kind of just sort of our mission statement, I guess, if you will, of how we conduct ourselves at the rec level. That's what guides us from fair play and equal ice time, still holding players accountable where they need to be, and we have the success. And as Rob alluded to earlier, wins and losses are not always success. That's great to see that. But when we see numbers of players being able to make the jump up to competitive, that's also success. When we have our players that we have left in rec, one of the comments that was made to me was, well, is it going to water our rec division down? There's no question that we take some of our top end rec talent out by putting them up in competitive. But what I was most impressed with this year was I kind of thought maybe that would be the case, but our rec teams did extremely well. So that tells me that they developed as well, because, in anything, we're only as strong as the weakest link, and we don't have a weak link. We really don't. We have a fantastic team here that's working hard to make sure that everybody is achieving some level of success and taking steps forward. So that's kind of all I have for now. Thank you all for attending.
Rattle going competitive.
The best for last.
I would love to stand up here and tell you the last 2 years was a blast, but I will tell you this position is hard. When I took it on 2 years ago, I knew there was going to be a lot of work. I knew when you select teams and you go through the process, not everyone's happy, and you hear about it, and that's hard, right? Because when you make decisions, it's never a personal decision you're making as a tryout committee. You're trying to place players based on what evaluators see on the ice, and some people don't agree with that. And so I remember the first day we made AAA tryout cuts, and I had 19 emails from one family within 20 minutes. That was day one. Having said that, when I took it on 2 years ago, I wasn't coming into a position where we're just moving forward with what we were going to do. We had made the decision before this position was filled that we were doing a full tryout, revamp the whole tryout process. When I came on board at this AGM 2 years ago, there was a committee in place, we were 25 people, and then that summer we took a blank piece of paper and we rebuilt the entire tryout process from scratch, introduced flow charts, player movement, different evaluation tools. It was many human hours over many meetings that summer until we were able to come up with a final process that we introduced that summer. It went well. There was obviously some hiccups. And then last year, in the second year of the term, we made some tweaks to it. We got another committee together, And again, many human hours over many meetings, tweaking the process to make it better. And then to throw the final step in, we changed software. We went to a Grade J software evaluation model from Team Genius, which was a whole other learning curve we had to go through. So overall, I can sit here and say that I think we did an excellent job as a group, as an executive, as a trial process to come up with what we think is the way it should work. You're never going to please everybody. I don't know the exact stats of provincial titles over the number of years, but I know first year, 2 years ago, we had provincial champion in under 13B, and our under 15 AA team lost in the provincial final. This past year, under 11B team won provincials, and our under 13 AAA team lost in the provincial final. Regular season tournaments and playoff success throughout all the divisions for the majority of the teams. We've got more players playing competitive hockey. I made it a personal goal to get more players at the under 15 level playing contact hockey. So when those players can move on to under 18 or high school or Kings or whatever the division is, they are prepared because they've played contact hockey. It doesn't, like it was mentioned numerous times already, this doesn't happen with a few people running this. If you walk here on a Saturday morning in tryouts and you face this way, and that way, everyone look on the left, there's 200 people sitting there. They're all the people that are trying out and watching the tryouts. And you look on this side of the rink, there's maybe 15 of us up here trying to keep this whole thing together. We would love to see more people on this side of the rink come over and help us on this side of the rink. Matt, that's a challenge I think you're aware of anyway. So, lastly, I'm going to make this comment, and I hope people kind of take it for what it's worth. Social media is a great tool. It can be used in a negative way as well. And this past year, we saw there were comments made that were not factual, that were posted on Facebook, that when you read them as an executive, we put a ton of hours into this. And then you read someone's Facebook post is unhappy about a particular item, and they refer to us as a cult, accepting favors, doing all this other stuff that's not factual. And that hurts. It doesn't do any good to post that type of stuff. If you're unhappy with something, talk to somebody who's involved. Get the facts first, and then have a conversation rather than post stuff that's not factual and can only harm the association as we go forward. So I don't have anything else. I do want to thank the executive. I decided not to reoffer. It beat me up. Last two falls is tough. My son's moving on to under 18, possibly high school. So I think this was a good time to transition to a new VP competitive who can continue on with what we've been working on. Matt's been involved the last 2 years with the trial process and as coach in the association as well, and is very well equipped to carry on this role. And just again, on behalf of again, thank you all the executive for all the work you put in. It can be a thankless job, but I think we're all here for the right reasons, and it's for the kids first and foremost. And I think when you look at the success we've had throughout all the program, that's a testament to the work we put in. So with that, thank you very much.
Alright, so I get 40 minutes again.
2 minutes.
I get so much to say though. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, Craig unfortunately isn't able to join us this evening. Family always first, no question. So just a few things that Greg wanted to talk about over the 2025-2026 season. Volunteers, certifications, recap, and takeaways. The majority of the criminal record checks and the vulnerable sector checks were completed early. I know this has been a bit of a struggle for Craig. Craig's been doing this role, honestly, almost for as long as I can remember. What was I talking about? That's my attempt at a joke. That's my attempt at a joke. I got a dry sense of humor. I don't know if anybody got that or not, because as I said, Craig's been doing this for as long as I can remember. And what was it? Anyway, he's been doing it for a really long time. So I know this is something that Craig's been struggling with though for years, is like chasing coaches and volunteers to complete their certifications. It's been a real pain for him, trying to chase people to make sure that they have their certifications. Unfortunately, when you don't have your certifications, you're essentially removed from the team, so you have them done. And some of these courses aren't overly, there's not oodles of them, so if you miss on them, you might have to wait till the following season. So that's something Craig's been working hard on, and being really, really proactive with our preseason coaches meetings, and he's attended the managers meetings as well, just to make sure that everybody's informed and making sure that they have everything in place that they need to have in place by the December 1st deadline. So that's been a huge focus for Craig, and I know he'll stay focused on that this coming season. As I mentioned earlier, he's going to have Ryan joining him in that initiative as well. So for those of you that will be volunteering with our teams, you'll certainly see some reach out from them, I'm sure. The coaches' reimbursements have been via check. So that's been a bit of a struggle. As we mentioned earlier, this is all volunteer time we put in. I missed, it's my own fault. But I missed 2 of my kids' birthday parties just this past year. We were here in meetings and phones ringing, and they wondering when I'm coming home for supper and cake. So Craig, comes here, goes to the arena, goes up to the minor hockey room, and he waits for people to show up to get their checks. And I think Angela set them up, but I think he had probably 4 at least or more. So he's taking time away from his family to come and sit here for people to show up to get the check. So we are going to look at, instead of having check pick up for being reimbursed for the courses, to do an e-transfer. So hopefully we can implement that and have that in place. There is a new criminal record check and vulnerable sector check process. So we're moving away through Hockey Nova Scotia, we're moving away through the back check program, which has been one that's been a staple for the last long time. And that's now we're moving through to a new process through the Halifax Regional Police Department. So we'll look for some communication on that. We received some correspondence from Hockey Nova Scotia 2 or 3 days ago, from Gareth on this new program for that. So we'll get that, Craig will get that put together and get that out to the coaches and anybody that's interested in volunteering. So it's going to be a new process for the upcoming season for anybody that has to get their criminal record check revalidated. The ombudsman position, we did have an individual that was there, but they took a new job. So it's the new job is going to be a bit of a commitment for them. So that is a position that's open again. So we'll have a call out for that as well. The ombudsman position, not to take too much time, but that's a position that I brought into the association roughly about 2 years ago. Just the concept and something that I wanted to put in place for our association. Kind of to Brad's comments. I'm so passionate about hockey. Like I love it. I mean, you could beat me over the head with a hockey stick 100 times every time I walk through the door, and I probably keep coming back. It's just how passionate I'm about it. But this can be a really tough role. And unfortunately, sometimes things are said that, to Brad's point, that are untrue, that are hurtful, and kind of makes you wonder sometimes, like, why am I doing this? And then you realize, oh yeah, right, I'm doing it for the kids. But I felt like, okay, like how can we, provide an avenue for our membership when they feel that maybe something didn't go their way or didn't go right, or they don't agree with maybe a decision. And I looked at a lot of other associations throughout the Atlantic provinces, and a few of them had an ombudsman position. I thought, that's maybe something we should have as well. So it's tough to get somebody to take that position because essentially it's like, okay, who wants to be head chief of our complaint department? Not much of a lineup, but hopefully we can find somebody to fill that role. In the interim, it's been ourselves that have been kind of taking on that role. But I want to have somebody in place that's impartial. Ideally, maybe doesn't have any connection to the association would be, a good ideal candidate. Certainly have a professional background that would tie in nicely to that role. So hopefully we can fill that, because that's something that I'd love to see take place before maybe I move on as well. New position to assist with certification safety. As I mentioned earlier, Ryan's going to jump into that role and help Craig out with that. And then volunteer certification nights in September and October. So Craig's going to run some sessions. I'll probably have him join me in that big, huge, humongous, ultra mega session that I'm going to be holding in September that everybody's going to love. So I'll probably have Craig join me for that as well. And then certifications, presentations, help getting started, and conflict resolution presentation as well. So that will be something for our membership. And then hopefully by that time, by September, we'll have somebody in that position for our ombudsman role as well. So, and I think does Craig have any other slides or? Oh yeah. Oh, and lastly, Craig wanted to thank me for everything, all the help that I gave him. All right, over to Mike.
All right, I'll try to keep this quick. For those who don't know me, my name's Michael. I joined the board here back in January. I am fairly new to the Flyers family. I moved to the area about 11 years ago now. I have 2 small kids. Oldest is in U9, youngest is U5. So yeah, it's been a great learning experience so far, and I'm excited to keep going. Financials for the year. It was a fairly straightforward year, which is what you always want to see financially. We did actually have quite a large surplus this year, which is much better than a deficit, but still I would like to see that number as close to zero as possible. Keep the money in the hands of our families. Really what really drove it this year was whenever we're doing our budget and planning our registration, we always want to keep a contingency just to make sure we don't come offside. And luckily this year we really didn't need those contingencies. So we were able to save a lot of money there on our ice time and a lot of our other expenses. Plus registration numbers were up. So more registration, more revenues. Biggest negative variance this year was our insurance. Obviously, more kids in the sport, more insurance costs, along with just rising costs per kid as well. So our registrations, we had a surplus of $26,000. Preseason, we had a surplus of $12,000. Tryouts, surplus of $3,000. Clinics, we had a surplus of $700. The lottery, sorry, I'm saying surpluses there. Those are all, those are surpluses. So the lottery, we made $16,000. So again, that'd be our 50-50. That'd be our portion of that. That 10 cents per every ticket that we sell goes there. We actually did a really good job this year of keeping our costs down. A lot better, a lot more efficient for ticket printing and shredding. Golf tournament, we made $2,400. And our hockey tournament this year, we actually had a deficit of $4,000. So that's one of the areas of improvement we'd like to see get better next year. Expenses covered by the registration. So obviously, ice is always our biggest expense here. That covers 60%. And then insurance was our next piece at 11%, and development at 10%. So our other funds, our capital fund, so that's a negative $14,000. That's really not real money. That just means that the value of our equipment and jerseys and that kind of stuff decreased this year by $24,000, which is going to every year. And we bought $10,000 of new equipment. And then our player assistance program, which is always a really important part of our program for us. So we brought in $13,000 and we paid out $12,000, so we had a surplus there of $1,000. So balance sheet, nothing too exciting here. our biggest asset is our cash. Biggest liability is our 50-50 account. So that's the excess 50-50 money that our players are bringing forward to next year. So that's at 500 grand. So there's a lot of registrations already paid in there. So our net cash there is 157,000. So that just means we have a large runway. Like we're not, Sackville minor hockey is in a strong position to keep going for the foreseeable future, which is what we always want to see. And yeah, next one. So just looking back through the last year. So as I mentioned before, more efficient 50-50. Last year, our 50-50 costs worked out to about 7.2 cents per ticket sold. This year, we had that down to 5.6. So it's a really good improvement. Player assistance fund, as I mentioned, is stable. We have 26 players last year, which is always nice to see. Those players might not have been able to play hockey last year if we didn't have this program. Unfortunately, as most of you are aware, expenses are continuing to increase. Looking forward to next year, we can already see that our ice contracts are going up between 10 and 15%. We should be able to use our surplus this year to offset some of those and keep registration down. But it is something we're really aware of. And just in general, anytime we talk about anything, one of the biggest questions is, yeah, but what is this going to cost our players? Like, it's really important to all of us that we keep hockey as accessible as possible to all our players, and really, that's always top of mind. And really, just last thing, I just want to send a huge thank you to Tara, our director of finance. Without her, like she really does all the work. She makes me look better, and I really can't thank her enough.
So the next item on our agenda is our executive appointments. So first we have our acclamations. So our VP of Operations, Kim Gray, is returning. Thank you, Kim, for coming back. Appreciate you. Next we have our secretary, Natalie Flesh, as we offered as well. Thank you, Natalie. VP of Risk Management, Craig Foley, is also agreed to come back as well. Our treasurer, Michael Doucette, also coming back. Thank you, Mike. Our VP of Competitive, by acclamation, is Mr. Matt Brown. Thank you, Matt. Congratulations, buddy. You're going to do a great job. Our VP of U9, Sean Wright, is coming back as well. Thank you, Sean, again. And then also our new board member, welcome to the board. You've always been kind of on the team. I kind of feel like I probably should have put a seat up here for you, but you can have mine if you want. So Mike Black, I was saying to Gareth earlier before we started, I was just saying that Mike's one of those. I mean, we have multiple of these individuals at our association, thankfully, but to Brad's point, more on that side of the rink than this side, but Mike's one of the individuals that anytime, personally myself and I know everybody else always say the same thing. Anytime I've ever been in a jam, I need somebody like, I need somebody to go run a practice, or I need somebody to help me, pick up some Timbit jerseys, or whatever it happens to be. Mike's like the first person always puts his hand up, like, yeah, no problem, I'll be there. So
6:30 in the morning.
yeah, he's still be there. Yeah, so thank you, Mike. We're fortunate to have you, and you're a great man and a great individual, and appreciate everything you do for us. So thank you. So congratulations, Mike. Welcome to the team officially. Next slide. Okay, and then we're moving on to our question and answers. So I don't know, are we going to open up for online questions? Or
I don't have any for online.
nothing
so
for
it's just- we can try right
okay. Jason.
I had two questions. One was answered by Craig about the ombudsman. I'm glad to see that that's going to be filled again. I think it's important. I understand the stress that you and Brad go through, and I sympathize. I think it's a great role to have that intermediate there. The one question I do have is about, Kim, I'm sure this is for you, as far as the bylaws go. I'm really not concerned, but, you know, I'd like to understand why that for your position and Rob's position, we've made it more restrictive for an individual to get involved. If you look at any major trade union, the President of the United States, the Prime Minister of this country, our Premier, none of those roles require any previous, experience. We've had lots of people come and go. Like, it's nice to see that everyone got acclimated, but, you know, it also, there's been times when people have come to the association and from the outside and not been welcomed in and not been voted because their network isn't big enough. So what my concern is not anything here, but when it comes time for you to move on or Rob to move on in his own, in your own manner, you know, what happens that if you're someone that is new to the association, that doesn't have the 2 or 3 years that now you're demanding, that wants to get involved, but now they can't because they're restricted. And they may come from another place that they've been president somewhere. We've seen that in the past as well. So I'd like to see the justification on how come we're putting more restrictions on for people to volunteer within the association. Oh, and to caveat, I've mentioned this to 2 or 3 people on the executive already, and no one's given me an answer. So
Oh, you've asked this already?
I've asked this already multiple times.
Well, the reason we are doing the president role is because we feel the opposite. We feel that the president's role should be and should have as much experience as possible. So 2 years on the executive and 1 on the board is what we changed. We did not change the 3 years consecutive experience. We just changed what it was. Previously, it was 2 years on the executive and 1 year volunteering in Sackville minor hockey. We just put it on the board. So you are familiar with all the inner workings of Sackville minor, and that's the rationale behind that. Now, putting the first vice president back in place, it was removed 2 years ago, and we simply just put it back in. And there was multiple roles. If Rob, knock on wood, got hit by a bus, it did not have a clear who took over. So we made it a clear who took over. And we also put the same stipulation in place that you must be on the board, not the executive, just on a board role. So you had the background and experience to take over as president.
I would just add to that as well. You know, I think it's, you know, again, I mean, there's always probably different perspectives, and you know, you're right, Jason. Like, I mean, we could have somebody, you know, I'll use Darren Harvey as an example. Like, Chris Mazachowski's another one. Chris, sure, yeah. I mean, there's lots of great individuals, and I think I guess maybe as a general kind of check and balance for. Like, so for my role as president, I've got to have some familiarity with everybody's role within the association. You know, ultimately, you know, the guidance and direction typically would end up coming to me at some point. Although I've always taken, my personal belief is that we're a collective, and you know, when a decision needs to be made, then I rely on the other executive members for us to collaborate on that, have some discussion, some dialogue on it, and look at the pros and cons of maybe whatever the decision that needs to be made. Because I'm a big believer that, you know, and I think you are as well, Jason, like just, you know, having that input and having dialogue, and you know, maybe Brad looks at something completely different than I do, but he brings up some really good points. And then, you know, maybe Dan has something that, you know, that I didn't think of either, and then, you know, then we kind of have that discussion and dialogue about it. And then we come up with what we hope is the best decision. But you know, in my role, and probably in Kim's role as well, you know, where you know, often sometimes like if we come to a roadblock or something, somebody's got to make the decision on something, and I think it's important that, you know, the individual that's kind of ultimately maybe making a decision, if one has to be made by one person, has the experience and kind of knowledge and background and understanding of the union workings. Now, you could take Darren Harvey. He was the president of association in Newfoundland as well, and he came with lots of experience. I've told Darren this, I said, "Heck, I'm, sorry to see you go, but I was happy for him to take on the position of Hockey Nova Scotia, but my vision for Darren was, to continue taking on even bigger roles here in our association as well, but, I'm very happy for Darren, and we'll still see him around our ranks, no question, but.
That process that you're doing is no different than any other association, no different than Hockey Nova Scotia process. It's a basic process everyone has. And you answered your question because the person who's going to take that role is going to have a little bit of knowledge, like you said, of everyone and what they're doing. But if you really had the opportunity to be president of an association or of Hockey Nova Scotia, you rely on your people so much of doing their own jobs. It's like very rarely, probably 1 out of every 30 times, you gotta answer the final question. The question's already been answered by your board or by your executive.
Yeah, but that's not the question. We've got that in place already. The question is, why make it more restrictive?
Yeah.
If you can't figure out as a president what's going on in 2 years, or Kim, in your position, what's going on a year and a half, or whatever, what we've done is we're making it more restrictive, right? Whether people get pissed off in the association or not, and they want to overthrow you, or you guys want to leave, we've made it more restrictive for anyone that wants to get involved.
Yeah, well, my answer to that would be, Jason, is there's nothing preventing anybody from getting involved. Like, you can, as long as you're a member of our association, you can run for any position except for mine and Kim on the executive or our board of directors. And so my advice to anybody that's interested in getting involved, like, put your hand up. We didn't have one person put their name forward for any of our positions. If anybody wants to get involved, I would say, like, next AGM, put your name forward, put a good platform together. I think if you come with, good ideas, good vision, good intellect, and present a good case, strong case why you should be the candidate, should be elected, those opportunities there. We have tons of board positions that are vacant right now. So I do think that there's opportunity, and there's not really necessarily a roadblock for somebody to get involved with the association on the board. And I think that's a starting block. Like, when I started as VP of U7, not intentionally, it was just because Craig McDonald at the time, he was a year in and decided he didn't want to do it, and then asked me if I'd like to do it. Of course, I'd say yes to everything, so I ended up getting into the position. But I did that role for 4 or 5 years before I moved into this role. And I'm glad that I did do it, though, because me having the ability to sit in on the executive meetings, listen to the conversation, listen to the difficult topics that get discussed and the tough decisions that have to be made sometimes, sitting in on disciplinary committees for matters that come up every year, that gave me the experience that I believe is allowing me today to be like the president that I am. And I'm not saying I'm perfect by any means, but it does allow me to do what I feel is a half decent job in my role. And I think if I didn't have that prior experience for those number of years coming into the role, and like I say, I completely see from your perspective, because there are a lot of great candidates that could easily step into my shoes or Kim's shoes, and they are currently on the board. I completely see that. And Siggar's comments, I don't think we're much any different from any other association that has the same requirements to have some experience in order to hold one of these 2 positions. But
You still haven't answered the question, though. It's why make it more restrictive, right? I understand. I'm not disagreeing with you need experience and you need anything else, but why make it more restrictive than what it currently is? There's no good reason to make it more restrictive.
It was the wording. It said any of the 3 past years. So that meant somebody who was on the executive 2 years ago could come in as president.
Well, it's no different than you, Kim. You left and came back, and then.
No, I had to wait 2 years. I had to go get my coaches courses and get on a roster before I was allowed to try out. That's how restrictive it is. I sat there for 2 years. I became a coach so I could get back on the executive.
And you're still only 21.
it's a good point, Chase. I mean, we want to have, any business or association, it's the cliche, right? You want to surround yourself, you want to be great, you surround yourself with great people. And so, it's a valid point and question that you have. I know Natalie's, this is being recorded, but you have the, minutes as well, if you can make note of that, and that's something that we can take away for, further.
Do you want to just explain what the actual difference was? So the old wording was what again? It was 1 year of the past 3?
No, of the past 3 years, you must have been on the executive for 2 years.
Executive or board?
Executive,
Executive.
For the president's position.
for the president's position. We just simply changed it to the past 3 years so there couldn't be a gap. So we said board. So you could be on the board and 2 years on the executive.
But you can't be 2 years on the executive and have it. So you can't come here like, Crofty can't come right now because he was never on the executive before. And when Rob's done next year, Crofty's position's up, Nick can't run for president because you need the 3rd year.
There are many people here who can do this. There's all kinds of people on the board. That's the actual progression. You get on the board, then you get on the executive, then you move to president. If you choose to do that.
We'll take it away, Jason, and maybe some night, if you're free, maybe join us for one of the sessions and have further conversation on it.
Yeah.
See what it's about.
I just think it's a point that,
Yeah.
I mean, it needs to be considered. Why make it more restrictive? And it's not a criticism of what anybody's doing or anything else.
Yeah.
It's, why are we making it more restrictive?
Yeah.
Well, this year, we're just cleaning up the constitution and bylaws.
Maybe we can fix it again next year.
And we can fix it again next year if we see that we don't need it to be restricted. Right now, we're just fixing up the wording. It was 3 years, and it didn't actually state what you had to be in those 3 years. So we did state it. Same with everything else. Everything is just a cleanup of what's really there. But we can always fix it every year.
Would you guys say that you believe it's supportive and not restrictive? Like, I guess that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
It comes from like
We want to make sure our president has the most experience of all of us. We all look at him for guidance and answers. So we want to make sure he's the right person. And making your way up to that position instead of just getting in makes a big difference in my.
Well, it's called democracy, right? You vote the person in. That's what we live for. We die for this country.
Yeah, look what, I don't want to get into politics.
I think when you look at it though, like I'm just completing my 2nd year. I wouldn't be eligible to be president if it was open.
But you're more than
And
qualified to do it.
I disagree. I think the 3rd year or 4th year, I think the extra more time you have in this role, whatever it is, seeing how it works is just it's valuable. I mean, whether it's restrictive or not, I think I agree with the supportive comment. At personal level, I don't think I'd be ready to take it on.
So you could be like director of tournaments this season,
yeah,
and
but
then
not
you'd be
happening.
eligible. For example, like you could fill a board
Yes, that's right.
position,
If I took on another
a
position
board
next year,
position. Yeah.
And then, I'd be eligible then, and that would be valuable in, I think, carrying on, because this position is, I've sat in meetings with Rob, just up in the war room related to discipline and everything, and it's tough, like, and to sit there and just go through some of the meetings we have to go through, the conversations, I think the more experience you do have, the more it can help you in the position. So, I mean, I don't know if that helps answer, but I'm looking at it from my perspective, where I wouldn't be eligible for this right now, and I don't think I'd be ready for it, even if I was, even after 2 years of dealing with the position I dealt with.
This can't really change tonight in terms of it's just we either clear up the verbiage or we don't. But I'll play the catch-22 on this. To Jason's point is, a year from now, Rob decides he's walking away, and that right person that we're looking for maybe isn't on the executive today. And in that event, that doesn't mean that person isn't in the association. So I certainly see the other side of it, where if that person exists within the association, the right person is there. Do we have, we should have some sort of, formality that allows them to Jay's point, to run in that situation. That's not the discussion we're
Yeah, we
having
could have a
right now.
CEO of a Fortune 500
Right.
company move in here that could, you know, what I mean, run this tomorrow.
Yep.
Right? And, you know, that's, you know, being the devil's advocate, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, we do have those people in our community, we have those people in our association. Right? So, like I go back to comment, if we make it more restrictive, there are people that are capable to do it,
But they're not here today.
but they're not here today.
they're
But
not
why
put-
make it more restrictive for down the road? That's all my point is. Right? And then the other problem that we got is the way we work in the association is the only time we get to discuss this is here, and we're gonna vote on it in 5 minutes. So nobody has a real chance to digest it. There's no, right, to really, you know, there's one email put out in April, I think April 6th, if I remember right. I asked for an update the other day on the website. There was nothing put up, and it was addressed to Sackville Minor Hockey on the Facebook site, just for an update on what the changes were and the reasoning for it. Right, so it's just a food for thought. I know it's not gonna change tonight, but, you know, if the only voice that we have is right here, at this meeting, and nothing can change, well, we'll have to look at it next year.
All right. No worries. Or I have a solution. I can never leave.
We don't think you're leaving anyway, so.
I know.
You're not-
Yeah, all right, so, thank you, Jason. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you always have great input, and I love our conversations, and that's important. And like I said earlier, when I first got up, that the feedback and surveys is important, so that we hear, you know, the input, and that allows us to make the changes that need to be made to make sure that we create a, you know, the best possible environment for moving the association forward. That includes new individuals coming onto our board. No questions, so thank you. Okay, so before we wrap, does anyone have any other questions or comments that they'd like to make?
Do we have someone that is in charge of putting up the banners that the accomplishments that our teams have won throughout the year?
Yeah, so that is something that I've kind of been working with LDRA on, and so it's their facility, so I just can't come in and start hanging them up without their approval. But they had reached out to Battle Signs about doing kind of a professional hanging of the banners here. I know that's something actually Chris has been like looking into, so I'll follow up with them on that.
I think you're quite skilled in that regard.
We did get, obviously we did get a number of them up here, year before last. There is gonna be some changes here in the arena after this upcoming season. And that's like during that period of time. Hopefully we can get them up before the end of the season, Mike, but I'll keep you posted on that. The other option is we might be able to hang some in the stadium as well, potentially. They have much more wall space there that we can probably utilize, but. So I'll keep you posted on that.
I just have a question from like a manager financial standpoint.
Yep.
I've now managed for a couple teams, I've treasured a couple teams for a couple years, and now I've done like the division coordinator for year 7. Is there a way that we can look at, I think we lose a lot of our volunteers that would be really good managers because it requires them to fork out a ton of money out of their own pockets every year. I have paid back managers thousands of dollars at a time because they're paying for tournaments out of their own pockets. The start of the year, we have to sign up for tournaments as soon as they come up. There's no money in bank accounts. They're paying for it, and they can't wait for me to give them a check to then deposit to then sign up for the tournament. They'll lose or stop the tournament.
Right, so like.
And like with U7 and stuff, these families are forking out like to pay for their, I know they don't have a budget, and I understand that. They don't have a bank account they have access to. But when they wanna have, you know, their year-end party, their Christmas parties, this is family, like managers paying for everything first and hoping and praying that their parents are paying them back. And it's the same as within the teams. And I just think like, is there even a way that like we can put a pot of money at the start of the year into people's accounts? And then as their money accumulates from their budget, it pays back because like that association takes back the money out that they originally started with. I just don't think it's like, like people that can't afford to manage, to fork out that money, we're losing out on volunteers. And I think we've got to figure out a system.
That's a good point.
As a
Sure.
treasurer, like I see that, like, at the like us not being able to like e-transfer for tournaments and or have like a Visa option to pay for tournaments seems to be like a big struggle too.
So I can tell you what we did in the past, okay? For all manager, and this was only allowed for tournaments. But anybody that wanted to go in a tournament until December 1 could email our treasurer, and he would pay for the tournament on your behalf. We used to do that all the time. I know, but it was not. I'm just back.
Yeah, no.
I'm just starting to hear again what the points are. So that's something that we did, and then we just came in, Tara just went in and took it right back out of your account. When your fundraising had the money in there, you were given a date to pay it back. And that alleviated all of that. And sometimes there were teams that weren't even formed, and we would officially put you in ourselves and tell the team that you're going in the Bedford one. The Jordan Boy, we put all our teams in that, and we also put them in the Monktonian, because that was a big one for some of the competitive teams. So we put them in that as well and paid for all of those tournaments and then took them back. You still had a chance to, we also booked blocks of room for those teams. Now this week, when we had a director of tournaments, so that was part of their job.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Because, that's obviously a real issue and struggle for the team to get started. So that'll be something that we'll have to discuss. Obviously,
Yeah,
with
I think that
yourself
makes a lot of
as
sense.
Hey, Kim, you're right. East Hants does that now.
Yeah,
What
I
the
did it
same
when
on-
I
same
had
process.
Tara's
Okay,
position.
good to know, because yeah, like, I
Yeah.
mean, for example, Trisha Monroe was my manager, like, our manager this year, and like, the amount of money I poured back to her, like, is just insane. She's paying for tournaments, she's paying for ice time, like, all the extra ice time we buy, all of that comes from her own pocket. That's to pay for, because we can't transfer out of the bank account. Right, like, we can't use transfer.
I know, that's a pain point.
And it is, and I know, like, so I coached within Sonic Volleyball, and we had bank accounts, we dealt with all that, but I know we use Scotiabank, I know we don't use Scotiabank, that's fine, but with them, what they were able to set up, and I don't know if BMO can do it, but we were able to e-transfer the account, and what would happen is it was still like a 2 authorization. So like, we would send the e-transfer out, but there would be a second authorization for our assistant coach, our manager, to then okay that process before it actually sent. That way there was still 2 eyes on it, and then it would send off to the actual person.
So BMO did tell us a reason why they couldn't do that. Do you remember? Okay, there was, I think you can take
It
that.
seems like something we should be able to do.
Well, there was something about us being a nonprofit account. We had limited, we didn't
Might
charge
be
us.
user limits, I think.
There was, no, I know, but I'm just saying this is BMO.
Yeah, no, yeah, but even if we could like figure
but
out a
we
way
could
to
take-
let us e-transfer with it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I
you can pay
was-
right over the account.
I found that annoying too, because I managed.
It's probably because it's a nonprofit account, not a business account.
That's what I just
So there's
said.
there's other
Yeah.
banking fees that would be associated with it.
Yep.
And they try to limit it.
Yeah, but we can take that away.
Definitely, yeah.
And we can tell maybe we can tell teams, this is what's gonna cost you. Do you wanna give fee or not? Or if you just
Yeah,
want.
even if and then it goes like, we plan those fees in
Yeah.
your team budget, right? Like, this is what's gonna cost you, what do we account this way?
Anyway, good points,
Yeah.
we'll take that.
I'll make it official. Natalie, can you put that as an agenda item for next executive meeting?
I got a check last year for $7,000, so I.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying, that you're out of pocket that much money, so like, but if you couldn't afford to do that, then it wouldn't have got paid, so that's what I mean, like, we're just losing volunteers because.
Yeah.
I
'Cause they
mean,
can't
finances
afford
are hard right now for everybody, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much money you make.
And people don't take checks anymore. They want to be
That's the other.
EFT. So I'm
Right.
EFTing out of my own account, and then Sackville team is writing me checks for $2,000.
Exactly.
I paid
Not,
for it.
not only that, Kim, to your point, not everyone, we're treasurers as well. And oftentimes, there's a lot of checks that get lost or go through the washing machine.
Yep.
Or you're waiting for people to cash them.
That's right.
So like, at the end of the year, we're trying to close out accounts and reconcile. If we could e-transfer, it would,
Solve a lot of.
It's a whole lot of problems.
Maybe we need to have a meeting with people as well.
We just need to find out what those fees are. And they'll say, well, we'll change it to a normal again. Yeah. Then we'll go to Scotia. We'll go to Scotia.
All right, thank you, Taylor, that's great.
And I mean, I do just wanna mention too, that if anyone out there is having issues with some of that stuff, we're always willing to work with the teams. Find a solution during the season.
I just think there's such a like,
Yeah.
At
no,
that
I
initial
totally-
start of the season.
yeah, and I think like there's just like such a stigma around it now that like people kind of know how much money gets paid out, so like they just don't volunteer knowing that now.
Yeah.
So like if we almost even put out that we have a solution at the start of the year, so people know, it may be like bring in more volunteers for those positions.
I'd
Would
love
be
to
really
have a
good at it.
manager's wrap up at the end of the year with all the pay points.
Yeah,
And
I think
just
it's a great idea.
focus on fixing, because everybody's got a good idea, or had a good idea.
Or something's come up that's never
Yeah.
come up before. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We'll maybe reach out to East Hants as well, Gareth, and just see.
Yeah,
like,
talk to
their
Greg,
process.
actually, they've been
Yeah.
doing it for 2 years, I guess, and.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? Anything come in on the live stream? Okay, so on that note, we'll adjourn our AGM for the 2025-2026 season. And then the next item on the agenda will be to cast your votes for the changes to our bylaws and drop them in the ballot box there up by Heather where you came in as well. So on behalf of our entire board and our executive, thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you to pretty much everybody here is a volunteer with our association as well. So thank you to all of our volunteers. Thank you ladies for coming up and sharing your words again earlier as well. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to, you guys are all amazing. And again, we're lucky to have the three of you as well. So thank you. Let's start getting wrapped up and prepared for our best season yet in 2026 and 2027. So thank you again, everybody. Have a great evening. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.